Okay, so I'm going to try to talk about the movies and also add a few more things in here. Hopefully, I can do it all in one section here. Anyway, so the movie, The Philadelphia Experiment, the original one came out in 1984. Talked about that with Obama. But it says they find out the program had been revived in 1984, unexpectedly interacting with the experiment in 1943. So in 1943, um, the Navy is doing an experiment to make their ship invisible or cloaked or whatever. And then in 1984, they do the same experiment, and it like they connect, and then it sucks the ship through time or whatever. That's what the whole thing is about. So 43, 84. So anyway, I want to talk about the real life ship before I really move on too. So it's called the USS Eldridge, and I mean right off the bat here, the USS Eldridge. Well, if I can find it here, it adds to 51, just like all of these other numbers. And I've talked plenty about the number 173 in the previous videos of this, but just look at some of these numbers over here. So it says it was laid down 2/22, 1943, 2/22, commissioned on the 239th day. So it was commissioned 239th day. I talked about 239, so 923, and then 239, and then it's the 239th year of the United States, 239, 52nd prime, tons of stuff with the Queen. It was struck on March 26, 1951. Then it was sold to Greece on January 15th, 1951. I mean, interesting. Back to the Future, the big day is 11/5, November 5th. And so this was sold to Greece on 11 or 1-15 in the year 51. I mean, look at that. 115551. And they changed the name to HS Leon D54. So love, but and then it says Leon was decommissioned on November 5th. 1992, and on November 11th it was sold to a scrapyard or whatever. But interesting, so we got, it was sold on 115 of 51, and then it was later decommissioned again on 11/5. And this is all about time travel, so interesting that they would put that 11/5 in there. Also love the fact that it's D54, so D is a 4, so 454. Also interesting that they sold it to Greece. And I mean, Greece has been in the news recently with the debt crisis. Even the word Greece adds up to 43. And I also talked about the Greece flag, or the St. Andrew's cross at least. But it's in the movie Teen Wolf here. Whatever the reason, it's right here up on the wall here, the Greek flag. And this movie I talked about, it's all about the Civil War. When he becomes the wolf, he even joins the play, and the play is about the Civil War. And there's a ton of Lincoln, Nebraska, or Nebraska Cornhusker stuff all over in this movie, like calendars and whatnot. And the movie doesn't take place in Nebraska, so it's a total Abraham Lincoln and Civil War reference. But interesting, they have the flag here in this movie. Even in Back to the Future 2, when he plays the wild gunman or whatever it's called, the two kids that don't like it, the one kid is wearing the blue shirt with the cross on it. It's not the Greek flag, but it is the St. Andrew's cross, which is actually the Scottish flag here. This is the Scottish flag, and it's that's the St. Andrew's cross. And basically, this guy was a martyr or whatever, and they killed him on the cross, but he said he wasn't worthy to be on the same type of cross as Jesus. So they put him on this X cross. I mean, that's kind of weird that they actually gave him a choice of what kind of cross he wanted to be crucified on. I don't know, that always just blows me away, I guess. I mean, if he was going to be crucified, why would they give him a choice of, like, why wouldn't they put him on a cross like Jesus to make him even more mad or something? It's kind of like, hey, I'm going to kill you. What do you want? Do you want me to stab you to death, or do you want me to shoot you? I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, the moral of the story is that's where the flag and that the shape on the flag comes from the St. Andrew's Cross. And when I think of Scotland, I think of the Scottish Rite Freemasons. Also, Scottish, the Great Scot in Back to the Future, Doc always says, Great Scot, you know? And I talked about this a long time ago. The New Year's Eve song is actually by Robert Burns, who is a Scot. And he wrote it in 1788, which is 227 years ago. 227 is the 49th prime number. It's 22 divided by 7 is 3.14 pi. It's also, when you convert it Julian to Gregorian, it's Valentine's Day. Anyway, so this was the guy who wrote it. And the reason I mentioned the Great Scot is because he actually is known as the greatest Scot to ever lived, even above William Wallace, or at least according to this TV show. So STV ran a television series and public vote on who was the greatest Scot of all time, and he won, narrowly beating William Wallace, the Braveheart guy. So I guess a lot of this, the 88s have to do with time travel. I mean, Back to the Future, and then they have the Great Scot. He wrote the New Year's Eve song that we use, at least in America, and you know, the 8s supposedly represent new beginnings, and I mean, New Year's Eve. So also a date on this ship, it says laid down on February 22nd, 1943. That is 222. And we've talked about that with Philadelphia. Amtrak in Jewish gematria was 222. So the Amtrak wreck in Philadelphia. Also, the year JFK was assassinated, there was a Philadelphia train, or a Pennsylvania train wreck, a Southern Baptist church bombing, and then JFK was assassinated. So this year we have the Philadelphia train wreck, and then the Southern church shooting. So who knows? Obama might be done for. But also Gray's Sports Almanac was 222, and the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is 222. And I just mentioned that just because he was from West Philadelphia, but also it's the word prince just because of royalty and the queen and whatnot. Also, from the first day of Lupercalia, 213, to 923, that is 222 days. Also, the peace sign, you know, you hold up the V, so it's 2 fingers, and then you hold up the V, and V is 22, so the peace sign is 222. Just find that interesting, I guess. And there is a ton more, actually, dealing with the train crash and whatnot, but it all leads back to gay marriage. I'm not really going to go into that because it's just a whole nother 15 minutes to talk about something to explain it that I've already explained in previous videos. So, and LeBron James is in a film that's coming out on July 17th called Trainwreck, and they advertised the crap out of this during the NBA finals. And the word train wreck adds up to 122. Also, I was kind of going back through all my 122 stuff. The 122nd Pope was Pope John X, and he was Pope in the year 923. And it definitely has to do with basketball as well. I'm probably just going to make a whole other video eventually. Kobe Bryant is surrounded by this number. Like his 81-point game, just tons of stuff with 122. He even tore his Achilles when he was playing against Golden State, now that I think about it. So even South Carolina, so we have the church shooting with whatever, but it was the 8th state to ratify the Constitution on May 23rd, 1788. So 227 years ago, like I said, pi, whatever, Valentine's, 49, but also May 23rd, there's 222 days left until the end of the year. It's the Hermes Trismegistus feast day. Also, look at the coordinates of South Carolina. 34 degrees north, 81 degrees west. It was the first state to succeed from the Union as well. So, and it was also the first where the Civil War started. So anyway, I was going to go type in to find that movie finally. And I mean, look at the headlines here. Just Taylor Swift's 1989 reaches elite status. Did the Pope use cocoa leaves? Also, beyond To Kill a Mockingbird. And for the only thing I ever think of when I think of To Kill a Mockingbird is I think of Boo Radley. And literally, Boo Radley adds up to 43. Oh, my computer keeps freezing up like crazy, so... And actually really will talk about the movies in the next video, and then it'll be done. But about football and Jerry Sandusky and how it all ties into Pennsylvania and Philadelphia, I guess. Anyway, yep, see ya in the next video.